Hello, I'm Ilene Wood, and this is today's episode of Bag Lunch. We are continuing to look at my new acquisitions. I have been shopping the internet to find interesting bags that I do not own, and this being one of them. This is an Hermes farming bag. It's a very unusual shape. I'm not even certain if they still make this bag today, but the cover slides up. You can see how it's constructed. And if you turn it over to the bottom, it does say Hermes. And typically, if you can find these bags, and you'll find them on a number of websites, you'll probably pay somewhere between $1,200 and $2,000 for them. I bought this bag for a little over $300. And you may ask why. Well, number one, it was not a pristine example. It had an ink stain, but the ink stain is on the back, so I don't think that it impacts display value. Number two, if you look at this bag, it looks like lovely rich leather in good shape with an occasional scratch. And this bag was probably made in the 50s or 60s. So given the time frame, I think it's in remarkably good condition. But it didn't arrive that way. And I've mentioned in other episodes how I will restore my own bags when necessary. This bag needed a complete restoration. I purchased it for $300, saying this is a test. I'm doing this as an experiment. And I wanted to see if I could bring a bag all the way back. And what I had to do was wash this bag with saddle soap and then treat it with various forms of saddle restorer. There are various leather treatments that you can purchase that are used to bring leather back to life. And they are things that are available on the internet. And these are various salves and various creams that come out of Germany and other European countries. And I gave this bag a full spa treatment, as it were, and it came back to life. So my $300 purchase plus maybe another $20 for the various potions was money well spent. Here is another designer bag that's quite rare. This is from a South Korean designer, and his name is Sang Bong. And he's not very well known in this country. He operates out of Paris, and I became aware of him when I purchased a very unusual bag that is currently at the Hermes Museum, and it looks almost like a black accordion, like a round accordion. And it's a bag that Lady Gaga has worn. And when I discovered that bag, I discovered this designer. Once again, his name is Sang Bong. You cannot often find examples of his work here in this country, but I did find this Weekender tote bag. And it shows his aesthetic. He's got an unusual point of view in that he has this big, lovely graphic on the front. And this bag is sort of collapsible. You can hook it together to make it a bit smaller or release the hooks to give it more space. But here's a Sang Bong that I found recently on the internet. A number of luxury companies have occasionally stuck their toe into the handbag business. And this is an example of a bag done by Lalique Crystal. And I don't really see it being particularly crystal-like. What they have done is they did this nylon tote that has almost quilted waves. And the only bow to actual Lalique is this dangle of a naked woman holding a Lalique crystal orb. But once again, an interesting addition to my collection because I didn't know there were Lalique bags. The final bag today was one I purchased because I thought it looked a lot like Versace, but it is not Versace. It is an Italian company called Greta, and what I loved about this is that this cameo is dimensional and raised, but it's made out of embossed leather. So it's really very subtle, but really quite beautiful. And it was a company called Greta, which I was unfamiliar with, but discovered another company called Greta, which is American made. And I was actually seeking bags by that designer when I stumbled upon this one. So sometimes you have a fortuitous occurrence. Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Bag Lunch. We look forward to seeing you next time.